And a very warm welcome. You're joining us at Hyde Park on Other Derana 24 tonight. We thought of talking about how Sri Lanka can be developed as a scene for films, for film tourism, how Hollywood and the developments in Collywood can take advantage of the scenic locations here in Sri Lanka. What Sri Lanka should do in order to brand the country's destinations and locations. In order to do this and talk about all this, I've invited to our studios someone who is a veteran but doesn't like to be introduced as a veteran, a filmmaker, producer, renowned, a global Sri Lankan who has made it big internationally, who took Sri Lanka out there and positioned Sri Lanka in such a way. But the question is, how much did we take advantage of that positioning you took Sri Lanka? Mr. Chandran Rutnam, a very warm welcome.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you on the show for the first time, although we've known each other for many, many years.
Yes.
You started at the age of 16. Take us back there. I know you told me just before that you're just starting, but so I'll keep the word veteran out of our conversation.
I'm starting chapter 2. Just finished chapter 1. Chapter 2 has got to come. Well, I was very. First of all, I'm very lucky. I got to state that, because the fact that I at a very young age, 18, 19, I got a chance to work with the greatest filmmaker in the world. I mean, who would get which young man will get a chance like that? And that was David Lean, who made Dr. Zhivago, Bridge on the River Kwaii, Lawrence of Arabia, you know, the rest of it. Passage to India. So a guy walked into our house wanting to rent annex. And my mother was not keen. And I looked at the guy, it looked like something to do with films. And I was a film buff. So I told my mother, no, give it to him for 6 months. So my mother gave it to him. And then I got to know him. I helped him. And then I ended up working on the greatest film ever made, one of the 10 greatest films ever made in the history of cinema, Bridge on the River Kwaii. So I was had good fortune of working on that film. Now a lot of interesting things happened. Now I'm inexperienced and no knowledge about filmmaking. I was just helping him with the tea and fixing his stuff and just generally helping. And we went to Kitulgala. And he said to me, if you want, you can come to Kitulgala also, and we will pay you, but we can't give you accommodation or anything, because we are going to hire a lot of people in Kitulgala. We'll hire you also like that. So I said, okay. And I came from an affluent family, and so the money was not an issue for me. I didn't do it for the money. So I went to Kitulgala, and I found that they didn't give me accommodation, so I went and found a hut. Somebody's living there with a 10-year-old boy, and they gave me a mat, and I stayed there. I was very happy. And then it's about 10 minutes to go up the hill to the location where the Kitulgala, where the bridge was being built. Then they brought some experienced locals from Colombo. Now, experienced locals were the 4 guys who worked on Lester James Pierce's first film, Rekawa. What they did on the film, I don't know, but very experienced, so-called. And they were the following. Dan Dureraj, who was put in charge of transport, Sesha Paliyakara, who was put in the makeup department, Vijay Abedeva and Gamini Fonseca were local ADs, assistant directors. That is, they assist. The key man is the AD, assistant director to David Lean. He keeps the show going. Then he has 2 assistants who do the work for him. And ours are local guys who will translate and adjust the crowds and generally, you know, mainly translating the instructions. Anyway, they were given, now they're experienced, right? They were given accommodation in a chalet of Rajakaruna house, a massive house, and they were all given accommodation, and they were given 400 rupees a week.
At the time?
At the time. I was only getting 100 rupees. So, but I was a good worker.
So you were just starting at the time?
I just starting. I mean, I didn't know anything. You know, I just. Then one day Gamini found out that I was a Thomian. And since he was a Thomian, he said, come up to the bungalow for a drink. Now we are not allowed to come because we are daily labor. Now these guys are with the crew, with the British crew. These 4 guys only. I mean, they can't set a precedent by me having to come there. Then every local guy will be walking into the bar. Anyway, we went to the bar and we had a drink, and we kind of made it a habit, and they didn't like it.
The British
the people who were running the restaurant and all that, you know, so who is this outside guy, you know. And then I had money, I started buying drinks for everybody. So they were wondering, who is this guy? One day, Gamini and I had too much to drink. And Gamini said to me, don't go to your place, you will fall down there was a slope. He knew where I was living in that hut. He said, don't go to your hut, you will fall. Come and sleep in my room. So I slept in his room. Next day, big issue. Security has complained, and they called a production meeting, and who is this guy? And then I must say, Gamini batted for me. He said he's a good worker. And my boss, Eddie Fowley, who was the head property master, he batted for me and said, everybody was on my side. So I got a promotion. And I got 400 a week, and I got a room. So that's how I stepped up.
And your role there?
Huh?
And your role?
And my role,
did that have an upgrade as well?
No, it was the property master, very important man, who became a very good friend of David Lean's afterwards and worked on every picture like Chivago and Lawrence. His name was Eddie Fowley. He was the production, he was the prop master, property master, very important thing. I was an assistant to him. Now, when things were going and they found that I'm a good worker and that David Lean also kind of was okay with me, he decided to keep me next to David Lean, to be the standby prop man. Now, it's not a top job, but if you want to learn, what better than sitting next to the greatest director in the world? Who will get that type of opportunity? That was my luck. So I was with David Lean for 9 months. So whenever I was practically knowing what he was thinking. I was so involved, and they were very happy with me. And then the property master had to leave to make another film in Norway called The Vikings, and then they had to decide whether to bring another property master or to keep me as the property master, acting property master. So they left, and here I was, the property master, this young boy, property master of this gigantic film called Bridge on the River Kwaii.
The Bridge on the River Kwaii in 1957, if I'm not mistaken.
1956, and then they made in 56, 57.
57, premiered in 57,
Yeah.
and the directors, they chose Sri Lanka as a location. So how was Sri Lanka on the map at the time, and how do you see the lack of opportunity for Sri Lanka today, many decades after?
Well, you know, we have a beautiful country. The big advantage is we are small. We can get from one point to the other in a short time. India is India has a lot of stuff that we have. We can't say that it is less beautiful than ours. There are certain sectors of India where it's absolutely beautiful, but it's all spread apart. And it's in different states and different dialects and different laws. So it's a big hassle to make a film in India. So if you're going to shoot in Bangalore and then also shoot in Mumbai, I mean, there's complications. Our thing is you get one permission and we can go anywhere within 2-3 hours. So that is an advantage, you know. And it's not the beautiful beaches. Hawaii, next door to Hollywood, has beautiful beaches. Let's get realistic here. It's not that we have something that nobody has. We have something in the right place, in a compact situation. Those are the advantages that we have, you see. Now, just because you have a beautiful country, people don't come to make films. They don't look for the country to make films. They look for the story. And the story has to relate to an Asian country. Now, I brought over maybe more than 60 or 70 Hollywood films to Sri Lanka. How? They didn't choose Sri Lanka. I read in the paper that they're going to make a film in Vietnam. So I went to the producer and I said, I can do Vietnam in Sri Lanka. Want to make Mother Teresa in Calcutta? I said, hey, hold it. I can do Calcutta. Indiana Jones is a good example. I got a call from the production company saying, do you have a gorge? Now, I faintly knew what a gorge was, but I really didn't really know what a gorge was. So I said, yes. That's the key. And they said, okay, because we are shooting the film in India, in Jaipur. We have started construction, and we need a gorge, and they don't have a gorge here, and we will fly down. Please show us your gorge. I said, okay. I got into a frenzy. I don't know what a gorge is. I didn't know what a gorge was. So I called my good friend Oliver Hanasinger, who was a pilot. He later became the commander of the Air Force. I said, Oliver, I'm in a big fix here. I said, do you know where a gorge is? He said, what? I said, no, yeah, gorge, where a gorge is. He said, oh, gorge. Yeah, I think I know. I said, you think you know? Great. So we flew down Spielberg and Steven Spielberg and George Lucas and all that, and a few others. I put them in a helicopter and got Oliver he was a pilot, and he showed us this gorge. Beautiful gorge. He fell in love with it. Right? This is a gorge that I never dreamed of. Okay? Or did not know.
That you didn't know existed.
So the key is to have a positive attitude.
Say yes.
Yes, we can do. So then, here's the interesting part. Then they're very happy with the gorge. And then they went back to the Oberoi Hotel at that time. And we were chatting and happily having a coffee. And there was a call from Jaipur. And the production manager said, the building is coming up very nicely. But you know, there's a problem. They have read the script. They don't want us to use the word thuggy. And I said, oh, really? Oh, okay. Just another call half an hour later. Now, in the meantime, I'm getting friendlier with the crowd. And I can see the relationship is good. And I said, I didn't say anything. Then there was another call. They don't want us to say Maharaja in that context. So I called the producer, Robert Watts. I said, Robert, what kind of crap is this? You can say any bloody thing here. You know, why do you want to put up with that? You know, unbelievable. Picked up the phone and said, stop construction. Nobody will believe this. They stopped construction in Jaipur on the bridge for the movie Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and they said, we are shooting the entire picture in Sri Lanka. That's how I got Indiana Jones.
So Maharaja, you could say Maharaja in that context.
You can say any bloody thing
anything here in Sri Lanka. That's how open we are. Yeah. Do you think over time we've really closed up this openness that you're speaking of, or have we put restrictions around a tiny island that has been so open decades ago?
I'm sad to say, wrong man for the wrong jobs in our industry. Our industry has not been exposed to the world. We are, you know, I'm not going to knock actors and actresses, but you don't put actors and actresses into administration jobs about a studio or things like that to run administrative duties of the film industry. They're actors, super actors and super actresses. So wrong man for the wrong job. Just because you're an actress, you're not a good administrator. You understand? So these are the things. This has been a terrible thing. I've been complaining about it forever. And that has been the main cause. And we have not been exposed. We don't know what we want. We don't understand the industry. We don't understand the business. But all over the world, the film industry is out of the 5 main revenue earners of any country. You will find that the film industry is among the 5. Take, for example, India. Big film industry, bigger than anything in the world, any other country in the world. Vietnam, out of nowhere, it's a big film industry. Indonesia, Malaysia. We are the only failure.
But do you think we have the capacity to be, as India is a big market, the films sell within India itself? What's the potential
There are two
for a country
aspects.
like
You know,
Sri Lanka?
what we are confusing is, whenever we talk about the film industry. Are you talking about people coming to see the beautiful locations, film industry? Or are you talking about people coming here to make films? There are two aspects of the film industry. One is combined with tourism. One is combined with the production factor only. People come here to make a movie. They spend some money, and Sri Lanka earns that, has that revenue, and they go. Now, a picture like Bridge on the River Kwaii is a miracle. It's iconic. Even today, after all these years, it's on the 10 best list, Bridge on the River Kwaii. Now, we had this, and I won't tell you for how many years I've been telling the tourist department, rebuild the bridge.
Because
they did not do it. I tell every time I had a chance to talk, build the bridge. They come and watch. They come to Kitulgala and see a hole where the bridge was, where one of the pillars of the bridge was stuck, and they take pictures of it. They take pictures next to it. Can you believe this?
You still have tourists who are interested.
If you had the bridge on the River Kwaii, you rebuild the bridge. What did Thailand do? They took advantage of it. Kanchanaburi. Kanchanaburi was a small town where the original bridge was there. Small town with hardly a story. They took advantage of it. They have museums of Bridge on the River Kwaii. They have tours. They built hotels in this little town of Kanchanaburi. After the film was released, they took full advantage. We never took advantage of it. We put a sign, also misspelled sign, of course, and saying the location for Bridge on the River Kwaii. I mean, we lost opportunities.
It's unfortunate.
Another iconic film, Indiana Jones. Why not build the bridge of Indiana Jones? People will come and take a picture with the whip and the hat, and you know, we don't understand it. I've been talking about it every time. You know,
film tourism. There are many categories to it as well. For travel, for locations, as you mentioned, to attract tourists who are interested in these locations, from the iconic The Bridge on the River Kwaii to major films, Indiana Jones films as well. Going forward, I really want to talk about the potential for the industry itself. We've seen Kollywood making a major transformative journey, at times going on par with Hollywood as well. So this transformation happened in the recent times, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you can enlighten us on this. But Sri Lanka today, we're still struggling to make a stand locally for our films. How do we really overcome these challenges and at least maybe strike ventures with Kollywood or other Indian film industry makers, or go international? What is the potential?
Okay, first of all, like I said earlier, there are two aspects. One is people coming to see where you, like Shah Rukh Khan was dancing in Switzerland. Everybody wants to go to Switzerland to see where Shah Rukh Khan danced. Then look at I forget the name of the big picture in New Zealand. But the name escapes me. They made films in New Zealand. Everybody goes. There is a bigger population than the population of the country visiting New Zealand just to see where that movie was made. We never take advantage. We don't understand it. That aspect is people coming to, tourists coming to see where a film was made. That is one section. The other section is people coming to make a film. Those are two completely different things. But now I think the tourist mode now, the tourist promotions, I think they understand a little bit about it, and they are really trying to promote India into coming to Sri Lanka. India makes 2,000 movies a year, much more than Hollywood, not much more than Europe. The biggest film producing country in the world is India. 2,000 films a year. We are only a 2-hour flight away. Why can't we get some of that business? So this is what we are trying to do. We are trying to build a state. You cannot go with the old systems. Today the technology is different. We have to come up with the new. The advent of new technology has to be created. So we want to build a studio, and my mission is to make Sri Lanka the film capital of Asia. And I'm very proudly saying that. Sri Lanka, the film capital of Asia. And we can do it.
That makes us very proud to know that there is a potential and possibility of
we have
making.
to, first of all, make it feasible for them. We must give them a reason to come to Sri Lanka. So we build a studio. It's got to be state of the art. So we are in the process of doing it right now.
Is this because today, with the developments of technology, with visual effects and other effects coming into films, the location really does it really play a major part?
Right. It's a very good question. Now, we are in our program for the studio in the south. We are having a visual the new technology with the visual sound stage, where you can sit down and you can have the Taj Mahal right behind you, and it's like you are at the Taj Mahal having a cup of coffee. That is good. But now look up the technologies. Everything has been visual effects. Have you noticed that now people are not that keen on visual effects, too much visual effects? It all has a timeline. But the natural will never go out of fashion. That will always be there. So we have to go with the tide. We have to go with the technology, go with the visual the visual stage, but also keep the reality locations going, because they won't shoot everything there on the visual stage. There are certain things you have to show. So there is scope for everything. There's scope for both. They will come, the new technology will come. We have to keep up with the new technology, but also to keep the old technology going, because you kind of come back to that. Now let's talk about the cinemas. People are saying now the new technology is on the phone. You just watch it on the phone, nobody goes to cinemas. It's two different markets. The OTT platforms, where you watch your film on a telephone or on TV, that market is there. But there's also an audience of people who like to take their girlfriend out to the cinema and hold hands while they watch the movie, or take their family and their wife and kids and enjoy the laughter while eating popcorn and watching the movie. So don't think that market is going to disappear. The problem is we are not catering for that market. You know, the cinema is the oxygen of the industry. So cinema will never go away. So the government must help the cinemas to survive.
Let's remind Mr. Rutnam, sorry to interrupt, the prospects for revenue making. You mentioned that the countries that had made it big in film, the industry, are among the top 5 earners of revenue for each of these respective countries. What are the prospects for Sri Lanka here?
Well, we are on, I feel that when I said chapter 2, now is the time. We went down. Now is the time. We have the opportunity. Whenever there's a disaster, there's opportunity. So now I say, that's why I talk about Sri Lanka, the film capital of Asia. We can definitely do that. And we can entice all the people to come and shoot. I went to Mumbai last week for 4 days. And I met all the top production companies, or 5 of the top production companies. And they all showed their desire to come to Sri Lanka and shoot the movies if we provide the right facilities.
And these facilities are?
That is, I'm talking about the studio and what is available for them. You know, we have to. So I mean, I am inviting them over here to take a look at what we have already started, and then tell me, what do you need? Let's find out what they are craving for and provide it here. You know, because they are tired of Mumbai. Don't forgive me, my lovely Indian friends, but they are tired of Mumbai. They want to make a film outside Mumbai, because too many restrictions, too many laws. You cannot shoot on the streets of Mumbai. I want to build Mumbai street at the studio, so they can shoot their things, and what they cannot shoot, they come and shoot it here. They cannot shoot in the Mumbai streets. You know, why don't we design one here so that they can come and shoot that here? And if they come here, then we entice them to do the rest of the movie, just like the Indiana Jones story. And then you get say, hey, we can do this, we can do that. We have to earn our place. We cannot sit down and say, we built a studio, when are they coming? No. Marketing is equally important as the buildings, as the construction of the studio. Now, in Ranmititana, they built something 10 years ago, and they appointed some idiots there, I don't know who they are, and they just copied it from here and there. They built it, and it's just sitting there for 10 years, all wasted. Why? Because marketing. You don't make something and just leave it there. You go out and sell it, and that takes physical contact. You know, so that's how you do it.
An individual of your stature, of your the skill of networking and ability to reach out to the rest of the world, are you part of this marketing endeavor that you say tourism will be engaged in going forward?
Well, if tourism and anybody wants to join me, they're welcome, but I'm doing it on my own.
Amazing.
I'm not waiting.
How does it work in other parts of the world where they allow films to be shot or films to be recorded in their locations? Do they have an authority there to promote the country, or is it done by their respective tourism agencies?
No, it's mainly done by the tourism agencies, and I must say our tourism agency is doing a good job. Finally. They are going to India, and I had several shows there and trying to get the business, but that's not all. We filmmakers who know the business have to be ready to entice them and give them what they want. You know, the tourist board only knows so much about the industry, marketing. But there's more to that. It's like any relationship between two people. You know, it takes a little more. You've got to go that extra step. You've got to get along with the people. You got to get the reality contact, and then they will always come and shoot with you. You know, if of course the story allows it. Number one is the story. I mean, if the story is set in New York, I mean, they're not going to come and shoot in Sri Lanka, obviously. But I'll tell you a funny story. When we did Mother Teresa, we had a scene where they got the Nobel Prize in I think it was in New York or something, and we arranged the cameras in such a way that it was one shot, and we did New York in Sri Lanka. So there's a lot of magic we can perform.
So isn't it essential to have not so veteran filmmakers as yourself, probably to help tourism, for tourism to bring together those with specific knowledge, know-how on this industry together to put this right?
No, yeah, it'll help, but our filmmakers are not interested. Our filmmakers, sorry to say, are only interested in making. They're very selfish. They want to make a film and win awards. They don't care about the producer losing the money. They don't care. It's a one track. They got to get out of it, and if they don't get out of it, then they are going to lose out. You know, they got to promote that. And the other aspect of filmmaking is the fact that the other big revenue is making films that can be shown around the world and bring revenue to Sri Lanka. Now, a good example is Korea. Have you noticed Korean films are shown all over the world?
Major following.
Yeah, major following. Now, we cannot say single they don't understand. They don't understand Korean. Okay, they subtitled it. But just because they subtitled it, people don't go to the movies. Story. Get the right story, where people are interested in the story. That is the main thing. Story, story, story. And then you can dub it, you can subtitle it. If the story holds you, it holds you.
I'd like to speak more on the prospects for the Sri Lankan film industry, and also you were talking about making Sri Lanka the film capital of Asia. And this is a private project, I'd like to say, of yours.
It's not private, I share it with everybody else. Join me if you like, otherwise I'll do it anyway.
That's a great attitude. I think it's that attitude of yours that brought some of the biggest films to Sri Lanka. We'll come back after this short break here at Hyde Park to discuss more. We are in conversation with Mr. Chandran Rutnam. You're back at Hyde Park on Other Derana 24, and we're talking to Mr. Chandran Rutnam, filmmaker and producer. I wanted to ask you, of all the films that you've made, What's your favorite? What story really resembled the experiences you've had, or some of the best stories that you wanted to tell your audiences?
Yeah, once again, you are referring to movies that I have made myself, right?
Your movies, the stories that you've related.
Wrote, directed, and produced. Yeah. Well, the first movie I did was the story about my mother and father. It was called Adara Kathawa many years ago, about a Tamil boy and a Sinhala girl love affair. And but to my most memorable one, and the one I enjoyed making, was Alimankada, Road from Elephant Pass. It was trying times during the war. We went up north, and it wasn't easy, and but it was a lot of fun. And actually, my wife also came up there with me, and she helped me a lot. So we got together, and we really felt that we did something worthwhile, you know. And I felt that my whole thing was to do justice to Niall Silva's best-selling novel, Road from Elephant Pass. So it was a lot of fun, but it was tough.
You've been vocal during the war and after as well. You've been talking about the war, the impact of the war on our people. The progress we've made post-war in terms of reconciliation. As an artist, how do you see this?
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, I think, in fact, we should not, I don't think that we should keep dwelling on the war anymore, you know. Let's put that back. It's history now, you know, and I know people like to do historical films, but this is too close to history. I mean, too close to reality, what happened the other day. And I feel that we should do stories about reconciliation, about how people, even during the war, how people were together really in some areas, you know. I think that's a good subject, but I don't think that we should, I don't want to dwell on that subject, because it happened and it's over. Now there's so much. I think we should now think of the future. We have been down, we've had problems, we've had wars, 30 years went by, and which was terrible for us. Now the good times are about to start. So I think we should concentrate on coming up with new product and good stories.
We have had some difficult times. You mentioned from crisis, economic crisis, people standing in queues for fuel, for basic requirements, houses being torched down, whichever political party it is. We've seen this destruction before our eyes in recent times. This is not during the war. But from here to looking at a brighter future, a better world for us, you said the film industry has the potential of bringing us the revenue we desire, that we really deserve. About your project to build the studio, tell us where this will take us.
Yeah, now the thing is, it's one of the big, as I said earlier, it's one of the biggest industries in the world. People don't realize it. And this if we do this correctly, there's no money going out. It's all inward revenue. You make good movies, sell it to the world. We are neglecting that. We must make movies that appeal to the international audience. Like I said before, Steven Spielberg said while shooting his film here, he told me, if you want to be a director, make a film that people will want to see twice. That means the picture must be interesting to the people. It should be a picture that nobody goes out and gets popcorn while you are watching the movie, or you know, things like that. You want to be, that means you have to make a good movie with a good story, and then send it to the world, and there's income coming in. Not just for Sri Lanka, you know, but we are not concentrating on that. We are doing it. We are doing only films that appeal to our audience, and our audience is not that big, and the expense for the movie is so much more. I mean, the cost of the movie and our market in Sri Lanka does not tally. When we make a movie, we must think of it as a film that you can send to the world market. And we cannot say that there is no world market. Today we have the world market. We have the entire market of the world in front of us, with all these OTT platforms, various other modes of showing your movie and earning revenue, not just Sri Lanka. Yes, we have a market here, but we should look for the market outside. Branding
Sri Lanka, this is something that we have had controversially discussed about, whether it's the small miracle, the miracle of Asia, whether it's the land like no other, or we've had many taglines. But really in terms of branding Sri Lanka out there and helping the film industry also gain out of this and attract more filmmakers, how do you really see Sri Lanka being positioned?
First of all, let me just say a few words on the branding. The brand that I liked best was Sri Lanka, a small miracle. In fact, we did a movie on that, but it was rejected, saying we are not small, we won the war. You know, we had some bright people who said those things, and then we threw that out, and we came up with a tagline like "So Sri Lanka." That's the "So Sri Lanka" is a domestic thing. It is not international. So anyway, now we have another tagline. But I'll tell you something. This is the must-see location today in the world. You know, everybody goes to Maldives. Now Maldives have had their problems and it's unpopular now for whatever political reasons, I don't know. But we are next door to Maldives and we are much less costly. Those things are very expensive, those chalets. We have chalets at a reasonable price. But I think that I think we are marketing it much better than we used to. I think the market is, you know, wherever you go, you see some tourists, right? So I think I hope we are doing the right thing.
You said chapter 2, since 1956. Very quickly, the final few minutes of the show. Where will we see you positioning Sri Lanka now? You said the film capital of Asia,
yeah.
And what more are we to expect of you and to help Sri Lanka really to springboard from the crisis?
In my business, there are two aspects. One is making films for export, making our own films with our own talent, and we have a lot of talent, and we are making it for the world market, and that is revenue coming into the country. Nothing going out, not one penny going out. Okay, in the old days, we have to go to Chennai to finish the movie. We don't have to go anywhere. We have got the equipment, we've got the talent, and we are going to do it. So that is one big revenue, and the other one is enticing, as we've been doing it for 40 years, enticing foreign film companies to come and shoot here. And the third thing is, when you make an iconic film, promote it so that people come and see where it was made. Like people are going to Switzerland to see where Shah Rukh Khan laughed and danced, you know. So the audience is waiting for it, you know. We have to entice them. And when we do something iconic like we did, Bridge on the River Kwaii, as well as Indiana Jones, we never took advantage of it. So from now on, let's keep our eyes open and let's do it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rutnam, for this conversation. It was indeed a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much. We were in conversation with Mr. Chandran Rutnam, a filmmaker and producer who took Sri Lanka to the global stage, a global Sri Lankan, we like to say. Thank you very much for joining us here at Hyde Park on At Derana 24. We'll see you again next week at the same time with yet another conversation. Good night.